Glad to have you back on this segment of Engendered. And if you're just joining us, like we always say, you're right on time because the show is just about to begin. And today, like Pamela rightly said, she emphasized on the political because we're going to be discussing today the political aspects of the female gender. But before I introduce our guest on the topic of discussion, I want to just read out something for you to know. It says that politically, women have been relegated to the background and over the years have been underrepresented. It is imperative to engage women as agents of development to ensure social inclusion, sustainable peace, and the security of all segments of the society. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the national average of women's political participation in Nigeria has remained 6.7% in elective and appointive positions, which is far below the global average of 22.5%. Africa regional average of 23.4% and West Africa sub-regional average of 15%. For instance, out of the 36 recently confirmed ministerial appointments by the administration now in power, only 6 are women, representing 16.7% in the National Assembly. Women constitute 5.6% of members of the House of Representatives and 6.5% of senators. And we have always been talking about, it's everywhere, we're talking about female representation in politics and in all spheres of life. So today we'll be discussing female representation and inclusion in governance with Loveth Izekor. She's the Director General of Young Ladies in Politics. You're welcome to the show.
Welcome to the program.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
We are doing fine, thank you. Okay, we're talking about this particular topic, and I know that every time everybody's always shouting for inclusion of women, female inclusion. I'm a woman too and I want inclusion. But why do you think it's important to include the women in this part of politics?
Okay, if I get your question very well, I mean, why do you think women inclusiveness in politics is important?
Yes.
As we know, women, in terms of the population, women are 70%.
Okay.
I stand to be corrected. And when it comes to voting as well, we know women are highly participating in that as well, because and as we know, women whenever we want to do anything, we dedicate everything into it. Why not? If you have the highest population of highest number of the population, why shouldn't we be included massively in politics as well? There, of course, we are participating in politics, women are participating in politics, but the challenge, where the challenge seems to be, is when it comes to appointments or appointments in terms of leadership positions and all that.
Okay.
So that's where there's a challenge, and I myself, and I believe so many other women out there, still feel the need for us to be involved or consider for political positions.
Okay, there's this research. You said multiple research studies have identified women absence in leadership as one of the major factors responsible for countries' slow socio-economic growth. What is your take on it? Do you agree with these researches?
Yes, I agree with that 100%, because women are multitasking in nature. We are naturally, God has given us that gift. Whenever we want to do something, we do it with full commitment, and we have, shall I use the word, clearer mindsets. And if we tend to look at some countries that have had female presidents, you will notice that the economy is growing and things are going right. So I think, of course, women has what it takes to make a country better and more developed. It's so unfortunate that Nigeria has not given that opportunity for a woman yet to be the president of this country, because I believe by God's grace we won't be where we are today.
Okay. Now, how can you assess the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration with his appointment so far? How can you assess it? Is the women out there? Are there women representing? What can you say about it?
Yes, the administration of Bola Tinubu so far, compared to previous administration, is quite impressive in terms of women. Not really impressive, because we expect more in terms of women representation in leadership positions, and compared to previous administration, whereby I stand to be corrected, about 28 ministerial positions, we had about 3 federal appointees. That's Minister of Humanitarian, Minister of Finance, and I think Minister of Women. Yes, Women Affairs. So far his appointment has been impressive. Let's hope when it comes to the ministerial positions as well. Women will be highly considered, despite that the 35% has not been corrected through the constitution, because it's just a verbal statement so far. There's no really concrete documents to that. So let's hope he will put that into consideration in the remaining ministerial appointments.
Okay, I want to mention this now. I know I'm a woman, and I'm proud to be a woman. But I was going through something, and someone made a comment, and words on the street have it that, does it matter who is in position, a man or a woman? Is it really important? Why are we really attributing gender to governance? How would you react to this statement?
It doesn't really matter. But when you talk about this side of the country, Africa, Nigeria in particular, where we have issue of societal belief, we have cultural and traditional beliefs as well. That's where we have a challenge, because what is important is getting the work done. Is your credibility. What can you do? Do you merit it? But when it comes to this side of the world, when it comes to Nigeria in particular, women are being discriminated. We are being seen, according to the society, we are seen as inferior being. We are seen as women are not supposed to be leading, because of course you know the ego of men, and we have many other challenges as well. And the northern side of our country, where you believe that women are not supposed to be participating in politics, maybe it's forbidden for a woman to be a head. We all know the challenge when it comes to the house. I'm the head of the house. So that's being applied to the political sector as well. You see that there's a huge challenge we are facing, and
the women feel subdued.
Yes, thank you very much.
You spoke about inferiority and the rest. Now, most women already have it in their mindset that they are inferior, they cannot really go out and contest or participate in election or in politics. Now, if this government passes this 35 affirmative, do you think these women, they are let me not use nonchalant, they are not used to this? Do you think they will come out to want to participate actively?
The inferiority mindset has to do with the society, because we are being made to believe we're inferior.
Okay.
Presently now, UK is having their third prime minister, their third female prime minister, if I'm not mistaken. And if they don't think a woman is inferior, a woman should not be holding such portfolio, why should we fail? I think it has to do with our environment and what we've been fed constantly, that we are not supposed to be handling such things. We're not supposed to be in political positions. Of course, everybody wants a space to grow. Everybody wants a space to learn. If we are being given the necessary support, we have majority of women out there, for this. And I believe if women are being given the necessary supports, we have women who are very credible to take up good positions, good leadership positions, and they are willing to deliver. Some even have good track record. When you even check, you see that we even have. It's quite unfortunate that men have dominated the political system. Yes, because when we have several challenges causing that anyway, I wouldn't want to deviate from the question. It's so unfortunate that men have dominated the political system, and when it comes to position, majority of the men seems to be more favored than women. But I believe if party and every other necessary body give women the necessary support, of course, we will dominate as well.
Are you sure they will do better and make the country grow? Yes, of course,
we'll do better. When you see many things women involved in parastatals, where women are the decision makers, just compare it. You see that things are working, because women seems to be considered to have clarity and to be cleaner in the sense of accountability and transparency. So when a woman is being given the opportunity, we're going to perform. You're a woman, you know what I'm talking about. We are multitasking by nature.
Apart from that, in smaller companies, companies, they have people that are scared of, I don't want a woman to be the boss, because they are very...
Because we are rigid. When it comes, you're a woman, I'm very sure you can relate. When it comes to getting the work done, we are there to do that. We are there to get it done. When it comes to transparency, we don't... I'm sorry to say this, most of the men mindset is a bit corrupted because of this belief of head of the house, I have to provide and all that. So most times, majority of them, go out of their way to do that without even considering what the consequences or all that. But a woman, when we want to do something, even looking at the home structure, for instance, women tend to raise up the children, in the African part of the world anyway, more. So when we want to do something, we put our mind into it and we make sure that we deliver. Okay. That is why most times people are scared of women being boss.
Okay, sorry, Pam, you mentioned something about if women get the full support they need. And I know that whenever we are having these issues about support, we always speak about, let's start from ourselves, women supporting women. How well do you think we are supporting each other? Because there have been so many instances, or some instances that I might not want to mention specifically because of our time, where you see that a woman is in a position to do something and another woman is sabotaging what she's doing. So how well do we support each other? Do we really look out? Are we comfortable having a female too as our head, and we will answer to that woman?
That question, I think we need God's special intervention in that. But there's a good number of women out there who are really supporting each other. Because, as you know, I'm a DJ of a group, Young Ladies and Politics, which a like-mind of younger generation of women come together in order for us to create a niche for ourselves in the political sector, in the political field, I mean. So women support each other, but not really a very good number of that. I believe we as women have to do a lot of work in that aspect. We have to learn to lean on another woman's strengths. When you feel like, okay, if there's an avenue for something or a platform, and you feel you are not fully capable of that, you should allow another woman to do that. You should support another woman. Of course, everybody cannot be somewhere at the same time. Somebody has to go first. We need to learn that. Somebody needs to go first, then you need to support other people to go after. But if everybody wants to be in a small space at the same time, of course, it's not possible for everybody to be accommodated in a political positions or whatever at the time. And we may have that, I think we are naturally built that way anyway, this petty jealousy and all that, which affects us, thank you very much, which affects us in everywhere, both the political party and many other things.
Sentiment into
yes, things. In private organization, otherwise, even in home, co-wives and all that is also stretched back. So I think we women need to be passing the right message out there. We need to be preaching the right gospel in this time. We need to let women know that we are our strengths. Together we stand stronger, especially with what we are facing in our political sector right now. We need to put our strength together, and we need to, one after the other, create a space for ourselves instead of fighting each other.
You know, this thing reminds me of a statement Pamela once made on this program, and she was making reference to the fact that you're talking about creating space for each other. To the fact that sometimes some women, for example, let's say I want to sell tomato now, and another woman, and nobody has thought about it, but just because Pamela says that I'm selling tomato, why is Chidinma selling tomato? Why can't I sell tomato? And at that same spot, I feel like I should sell tomato. So I want to ask you now, when it comes to competition, I know that definitely the sky is big enough for everybody to try it. Yes. So, but how would you advise women, or how would you assess our competition? Do you assess it as healthy. Or not non-healthy?
That's what you refer to as healthy competition. Of course, when you are inspired by someone else and you want to be a better version of yourself. But it's quite unfortunate that most people don't even know what they are or what they want to become. That's when you get unnecessary competition. When you want to be like Mrs. or Miss A, and tomorrow you want to be like Miss B. You always compare yourself. You don't have a clear definition of what you want from life. That's when you now have this unhealthy competition. But when we learn to focus on our personality, we learn to focus on our strengths, or we'll know our purpose in life, when majority of people don't know, I think we'll be stronger. And of course, you have to appreciate the spirit of contentment. You have to be content wherever you have. And today, everybody is not heading towards the same direction in life. You might want to become something else, or you might want to become a doctor, or somebody might want to even become a teacher. But you just have to know what you, in a nutshell, you just have to know what you want from life and build it. But in the absence of that, which a majority of women have, there's where you now have an unhealthy competition, because today you want to be like somebody else, and you even go out of your way to even sabotage someone else because the person, you don't even want the person to succeed, knowing that you will not even become that. But you not just having wanted the person to just become something else, you prefer to tarnish that person's image or even sabotage that person's efforts so that that person doesn't even become ahead of you or even better. But in a nutshell, when you know your purpose in life, you have a clear vision and direction.
Okay. Now, what will you say are the negative effects of the poor, the underrepresentation of women in parliament and politics, in short, in the world at large? What will you say is the negative effect of it?
In the world at large, but I think the world is a bit ahead of us.
Okay, let me narrow it down to Nigeria. Yes.
Yes, even some Africa countries have been fortunate enough to have female presidents. While here in Nigeria, we are still battling with female governor. Most times we are being seen as we are being considered to to deputize the male. It's quite unfortunate that our former first lady, there was not even a position, we didn't even have a former first lady, our former wife of the president, even during this, the recent election, the Adamawa election, even I'm not going to call much names, even made a statement that women should be deputizing before she was, she had a more clarity on some things anyway. So, it's quite unfortunate that that is happening, and I believe sorry, am I deviating from your question?
No, there is a negative effect. What negative effect does it have on the society that women are not being represented out there?
Yes, it has a huge negative effect because it affects where there's corruption, where there's a lack of growth, where there's no transparency. Of course, there's no growth, and Nigeria right now need to move ahead. And these are the things women put on board. Women tend to have more innovative direction, have more clarity, and we make things work. So when women are not having the more political position or leadership position, you would know that we are still behind. Because in a good sense, we are even supposed to have equal right, like 50-50, and the Constitution is not even supporting that yet. So we are still behind, a bit behind. And if women are being given such position, we will tend to share more ideas. It will be a balanced equation, because mostly men think alike. So when women are not given platform to contribute their quota, there will not be that balance, and the economy will suffer.
I can't stop talking about this pad issue. The fact that pad is it 500 or 600 now?
It depends on the type of pad you're talking about.
How I wish we have a woman there to implement this law for us. Maybe we'll be having pad for free.
But because we don't have justice for ladies, because you don't have an option, you just have to. It's not like you choose to buy or not buy. You must see your period, except you're pregnant, and you cannot even afford the pad that is at the moment. There are some pads that are up to 2,000 now, 8,000 plus right now.
Yes, there is.
And we just have to bear it like that. Okay, let me still make reference to what you said earlier when we were talking about the attitude of women. I know that, I want you to be on record. Well, everything I've been saying, men are not saints also. They also have their own aspects where they have their own, should I say, deficiency now. But how are they able, I want to know, how are they able to come through this and still try to perform at the political space? Because sometimes I hear some people think it's not valid, but I hear some people say things as little as, there was a man that was making a comment on the road one time, and okay, they start by this: you're driving and maybe you make a mistake or you're doing something, they say, na even woman, me I kukuma leave her. You get, you move out and then you do something, say na woman, just leave her, now so then they do. They make such comments like that. And then I went out one time and the man was saying something like, is it women every day that shouting, give us space to lead or to be in politics? Is it this kind of attitude that you're going to take into that political space that you're going to do? So now I would like to know, how are the men able to thrive through this despite their own thing? And what are those challenges that are still hindering we women from being in that political space?
Before I answer that question, I want to discuss something, tracing it back to home bringing.
Okay.
When you look at when a child is being groomed, the parents seem to focus more on the female than the male. because they believe that a woman is supposed to be perfect. You are supposed to sit in a certain way. You're supposed to be in the kitchen. You're supposed to do several things while forgetting to also train the men. If you even look at it, I think more responsibility when it comes to even some political leaders, their wife seems to even contribute more in their decision making from the background than the men. The men, most of the men, I'm not saying that we have credible men, but most of the men are, some men, let me not use most, are just the figurehead. Why most times the women even support their decisions making, because our parents forget to train the men and concentrating more on the female. We have been, the society is being, I wouldn't want to use the word brainwash, it's been nurtured to believe that women cannot do anything right. It's not nurture, I think it's just another strategy to make us look more inferior or more competent. While a woman is driving, there are even some men who can. Do you know that even women, after we are being trained, we're not just trained to be mothers or better women, we are being trained to take care of men. I'm sorry,
it's true.
We are being trained to take care of men. Because when it comes to the marriage, you see the women manage the home. And without a functioning home, how could anybody function?
And if he feels, they put the blame on the woman.
Thank
that
you
she
very
didn't do
much.
Well.
Yes. The women is expected to guide the men, is expected to train the kids, is expected to do everything. So we are being trained, we are being nurtured, groomed to even take care of the men as well. And most of those stone throwing is just to make us inferior, to make us feel inferior. Where if someone is driving, you say, leave her now, woman. Why there are even some men who cannot even do that better. They can't even do it as well as a woman. And if I were to answer your question, if I'm right, that what are the things we need to, the challenges
that yes, hindering us from participating in the political space?
Firstly, we have, just as I mentioned earlier, we have the societal belief, the traditional cultural belief as well, that says that a woman is not supposed to be doing politics. Most times when they see you as a political person, a woman, they believe they clothe you or they tag you a name. I know you know what what that is called. They tag you a particular name because they believe a woman is not supposed to be a politician, is not supposed to be lobbying, is not supposed to be going around participating, especially in some ungodly hours and all that. Then we have our parties as well. Our political party not supporting women, not even giving the avenue for women to take up positions, political positions. Then I think mostly we now have finance as well. We know finance is a challenge, and when the woman is believed, because it all goes back to the home, when you believe, okay, you're not supposed to be working, you're not supposed to be doing many things. When you want to participate in politics, where will you get the finance? We know African politics involves money, not just credibility or otherwise. Where do you expect to get the finance to take up some of these actions and lobbying and all that? Because finance is a huge problem as well. Most of the challenge that affects women in political sector. So majorly it's just the society, because if we'll be given the position, the space, I believe we'll do well.
Okay. Now let's go back to this recent election. How would you rate the performance of the female gender coming out to vote and exercise their rights in this past election? Will you say they came out? How will you rate them?
Right from the ab initio, women have fully participated in votes. Yes, exercise. I wouldn't say in the political yes, participating in politics system. Somewhere. Yes, women normally take a good number. 70% of women, if you even during like my poly units, there was this elderly woman who came out very early. She even came with, she should be about 80 or so, if I'm not mistaken. She even came out with her chair, and she was there till we finished counting. Wow. I felt really bad. I even asked her, why not go, Mama? She said no, she wants her votes to count. Women, right from the ab-initio, women participate highly in voting, in exercising their civil rights. It's just the challenging aspect. The challenging aspect is just them participating in the political system itself. So women are always, if you even call, for instance, now if you go to any political gathering, you see that majority of the people there are women.
Okay. Now let's look at the gender policy review. Now, how well would you say it has been implemented in the society?
Pardon me?
The gender policy review.
Okay.
How well do you think it has been implemented in the society?
It's not. It's still setting us backward because just as I mentioned earlier, we are not even asking for much. I think it's going to take a while before we even actualize any equality or any equality or most of that. It takes us a while, and even the 35% affirmation now has not even been put in the constitution, or it has not even been legalized. It's just a verbal statement so far.
Okay.
So it's going to take us a while in order for us to get to have such implements, or for us to see a physical evidence of this is happening, this is taking place.
But then what is the aim of this national gender policy? Because I know Chidinma just brought it up. I know most of our viewers does not even know what is national gender policy. What is it all about?
I have to be... The gender policy, we all know what that is. And when we look at gender, for instance, now, it's not just about the women as well. So I still believe the men are also put into consideration as well, because it's both ways. So I believe it's including everybody. And most people there's a good consideration and a good balance of equality and all that.
So how will it affect the female gender positively?
It's for us to get for us to get a free rights to some certain things that we are being deprived of, and we should be able to have access to many things, and we should also be considered as an equal. We are not even, I'm very sure there's no how that is even possible for the meantime, but to a good amount of consideration for us to have a good balance.
Okay, so everybody speaks about a particular means we can use is to hold the government accountable for women and gender rights issue. How do you think, what is the proper method? How can we hold the government accountable? Because we keep coming out, people advocate, they sensitize, they speak, so that everybody can see. They use media as a means to reach out to these things. So, but how well do you think we should, or how do you think we should hold the government accountable for women and gender rights issues?
First, I think it has to be constitutionalized.
Okay.
Because when that is not backed up, you can't really quote anything. You can't really refer to a particular thing and said, okay, it was written here. As most times is also referred to, it was written here, and we expect this to be carried out, and we expect this to be done. Firstly, I think it has to be constitutionalized. Pardon me, I have difficulty with some words. Firstly, then putting it into practical, and I believe the major thing, because many women have been speaking out. We have expectations. We want it to be implemented. But if it's constitutionalized, we can actually have a backup in order for us to refer to and also have a defense.
Okay. Now, what will you say to ladies out there who are feeling inferior, but deep down they know I can actually venture into this leadership skill and do well, but then because of the mindset they already have that you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you have to be under. What words do you have for such people?
Nobody is born perfect. Nobody knows everything just at a glance. It all starts from somewhere, and everybody is good. Everybody is good in a particular thing. If you're feeling inferior, firstly, I think you have to invest in yourself as a person, and whatever you feel like is making you feel that, you really need to work on that. And politics is for everybody. It is not ascribed to a particular people. It's for everybody, and from the grassroots, you can participate even at the grassroots level, at your ward level, at state level, or any political platform you find yourself. Then you learn. You get mentored, which I believe is also another strategy for you to learn. You get a mentor, then a mentor who you feel, or who she feels what she wants to be like, or who she admire or aspire to be. Then you get a mentor, you learn from the person, and you make sure that you're always on ground to participate. because you can't really learn, or you can't really learn from afar except you participate. And if you don't give yourself that opportunity to do that, how do you know what you're made of or what you can really do? So you need to look for a political gathering or political platform or at your ward level and participate.
I like the fact you said politics is for everybody. But then people still say that politics is kind of boring, especially these are Gen Zs. They don't have time for politics. If they go to the entertainment world and relax. They don't have time. They don't want to. They don't even care what is happening in the political world.
Yes, our youth these days do feel that. But thank God for this recent or this previous election. At least majority of the youths came out in good numbers to participate. But we need to do more than that. Just as I've said earlier, you not just voting. Politics is not just about you exercising your civil rights. You need to learn how to participate at the ward level, how to participate in the politics itself. Because most times when the youth complain, they complain that that the older generation are always taking up political positions and all that, not giving avenue for the younger ones to participate. But how will you do that when you're always behind the curtains? Then when it's election time, that's when you come forward and you will start some talking and start condemning some action. So I think the youth, we need to join a party, any party of your choice, though I'm a party person anyway. So you need to join a party, then you need to understand what is about. Then if you don't get to that position, how do you create change? How do you implement change? So you need to participate and make sure when it comes to that time, and if you're interested in any political position, then you make yourself available. If you've been found credible enough for any political position, I'm sure some parties will accommodate that.
Thinking about what you just said again, are there any particular group that are in charge of going out to sensitize people about politics?
Yes, there are several NGOs that does that. My NGO, for instance, now we concentrate on students. We go to school, communities and all that. And even last election, we even visited several campuses to educate these younger ones on their civil rights and made them understand that politics is not dirty as is usually said. And I'm very sure many other NGOs are doing that, but there's no federal, I don't know, there's no provision for that.
The federal government.
Yes, of the federal government. Yes, it's just private sector and NGOs, yes.
Okay, now, so I would like us to look at something. I know that there are some people that have participated in this election that just that went on this year, and there will be some more that will be coming up. Now, there are still some people that are in. We have some female now in the political sector right now. I would like to hear from you a practical plan or a practical strategy that will enable the female to dominate the political sector coming up in the next election.
First, we have to unite as female. We have to unite, and we have to, despite the political parties or wherever, we have to find a neutral body in order for all the females to unite. Then have one voice is very necessary. If a particular female wants to contest for a presidential position, the female has to be supported, and female have to be willing to advocate for this particular female. And I believe if there's a financial institute to support this, it will also go a long way. First, it all just starts with unity. I wouldn't want to start hearing most of these things. It starts with unity, and from that unity, we can have a political financial institute whereby you approach, or if possibly, or any capable female can also support a particular person in order for the person to go forward. But in a nutshell, we all know that one of our challenge of female is the petty jealousy and all that. Because if we have a good unity, we can actually create platforms and space for ourselves.
Okay, but what role do you think the media has to play in this? Because some people have accused the media of not portraying women in a good light or not reporting issues that affect women in a positive way. So what role do you think the media has to play in this particular aspect of aiding female governance? I
think the media has to concentrate on women who are doing well out there. They need to, yes, they need to portray them. They need to make it known to the world or to Nigerians that this woman right here is doing well, and in this particular sector. because most times, even the interviewers, I don't think most times during the last election, most of the interviewers are mainly male. So I think women have to be considered mostly on that. They have to be considered to speak for themselves. Because when you invite them, they can be able to talk about what they've done and what they've achieved. And by doing that, the world or Nigeria at large will see that women are actually doing well in whatever sector they are talking about.
So when you mentioned the fact that they should, I think you mentioned that they should report more issues on women that are doing well.
Yes.
So are you trying to say that we're, media is not really doing well in reporting positive aspects, rather focusing on the negative?
I wouldn't say they're focusing on the negative. I just think that they're not really portraying women properly or the way they're supposed to do, because if for instance now women who are, if I'm not mistaken, Natasha from Kogi State, I think it's just a couple of times I saw her on interviews during a electoral contest. I only saw a couple of times on TV. So such women should be invited on TVs. Let them talk for themselves, what they've achieved, what they've done. There are various of them, so many of them doing well in their states, doing well in several platforms. And these things have to be portrayed on TV. Most times during the election time, you see there, I don't know if it's advert or whatever that is called. Most times you see a particular person being played over and over and over again. The jingle, thank you very much, the jingle over and over again. I've not really seen any female candidates that has been done for. I don't know if it has to do with finance or what. I think women need to be encouraged in that sector as well. Yes. So I think they need to be encouraged in that sector as well.
Okay, sorry, I know Pamel wants to say something, but I just want to relate to what you have said now. The fact that if you invite people for interviews and stuff like that, personally, I don't know about other people, but in when you try to approach some people, for example, I have some contacts on my phone, female. This is a female show. We try to bring them on the show and say, okay, we want to talk about this. We believe here that it's a way of portraying women in a very good light. That's why this show was created. But at the end of the day, sometimes you get some feedback of I'm busy. I don't think I'm up to it. It's on my phone. Sometimes I don't feel I'm up to it. I don't feel I can come. And some of these women, they are in some positions right now, but they're not really popular like the ones that people know. And you keep having issues like that back and back. But when you call on the male gender, 2 seconds, they're here.
I think probably we're just afraid that we're going to be portrayed, the women are going to be portraying the wrong, in a negative
way, or they're going to be tackled.
Okay, look at Funke now of Lagos. During her interview, she did one interview during her election, and the next thing, it was all over the media and all that. There's a word that was used against her. I can't really place my head on it. Yes, Funke Akindele. There's a word that was used against her, and it was just an interview. And after that, I barely even see her in any interview again, because when instead for them to put more light into the positive aspects or whatever they have to contribute or what they've mentioned, they're very prone in picking up negative statements or looking for weaknesses to use against such.
But don't you think we should now create a tick show? Because thinking of going through it, we are media persons here, Pamela and I, so we can explain some things. Don't you think is something about our self-esteem or how we build ourselves up? Because even sometimes when the men are tackled, they give response. So many people have been, the male gender has been really good. And they keep coming back to prove this, no matter what you have to say. Do you think it is enough reason for us to now go into our shell because of what is going to come out? If you're going to go for a position, definitely be ready for the backlash that people are going to talk. No matter, the thing about life is, no matter how good your intention is, people always have a negative side about it. So don't you think it's time for us to now wear that tick shell? I don't care what you say. Okay, but this is my intention. This is what I want to do. Is it now a good reason for us to not back up? Because talking about Funke's own, some people made comments about, okay, you've not gotten to this position yet, just this, and then you're already retreating yourself. I think at some point she turned off comments on her social media, so people will not say things like that. So someone said, if we have this kind of person in power, meaning we can't even air our views. Don't you think it is time for us to build ourselves up, create a tick shell, and then maybe build on our self-esteem? And
yes, that's a wonderful idea. You know, women pass through a lot, both psychological, mental, and several issues. So when we get a couple of attacks and all that, we just go back into our share. So I think if we are forming like a sort of community for women to have a safe space and rely on each other, it will go a very long way in order for us to build our confidence, because we have so many challenge out there, society, and so many other challenges trying to break us down and not give us that platform in order for us to build our strengths to fight back. So if we have a community, a safe place where we can rely on each other and build ourselves and brainstorm, and I think it will go a very long way if we could do that. Yes.
Since you started this show, you've been mentioning challenges. What are these challenges women face in this? Those people that are already in leadership position, what challenges do they face?
Leadership in itself, it comes with a whole lot of challenges, and you being as a woman, I think it comes with a greater challenge. I've mentioned a couple of them, and if a woman, for instance, is occupying a key position where she's the decision maker, and you can't just you can't just make decision. You have to make sure it's implemented as well. And when you don't have supportive subordinates and colleagues, it becomes a challenge as well, because most times, majority of men don't like taking orders from women. So there are several challenges when it comes to woman in a position or woman aspiring to become in a leadership position.
Like, what is the way forward? What should Nigerians look up to? What should our leaders look up to? What should the men do? What should the women do? What should the youth do? What is the way forward for Nigeria to become better?
A way forward, the first step for that is for women's rights and equality to be constitutionalized. That's the first way forward. Then, just as you mentioned earlier, women have to form a community, a safe community for ourselves. And we have to know that everybody cannot be in a position at a time. We have to learn how to be supportive of our fellow women. And we need to focus on more goals. We need to focus on more goals, and we need to support each other. Then I think it will be better. There are so many challenges, and there's so many things we should do, and we need to have one voice, and we all need to speak out loud. We need to have one voice. We need to talk the same thing, and we need to spread the message loud. And then focusing on the younger generation as well, because more damage has been done. We need to educate the younger ones to know their rights, to stand firm and know how to occupy their space. So, because if what is happening now continue, I think the further it goes, the more damage that it's going to be happening, because there are so many factors fighting against our rights and fighting against how we reason or say things. So we need to also nurture them and educate them more, using several platforms, school, community, and otherwise. I believe by
you've not said anything about our administration, this new one. You don't have any word for them?
So far, I think so far, of course, we know definitely when it comes to the political position, women are always left out. So I hope that the present administration will have a good consideration when it comes to that. I'm a bit impressed. We expect more, as I mentioned earlier, but I'm a bit impressed so far what's has been going on. But I hope in the ministerial position that we will be considered more, and because we have so many women out there who have the capacity to deliver and to do so many things, and all over the world there's a new wind blowing. Women are being considered for positions all over the world. So I hope Nigeria will do that as well and give a platform for women to come. Probably by God grace, next election we'll have a female governor. That's it.
Okay, so being in the field now, you're in touch. You're the DG of youth
young
and
ladies in politics.
Do you how can you assess female interest? Because there's one thing to say, put us in that space, and it's another thing to have an interest to do that thing. Do we just want the title, or do we want to carry out the assignment? So how would you assess it? Do you think, from what you've seen, people you work with, from the field work you have done, do you think the female gender is actually interested in this political space? Do you think we're ready to work? Do you think if we say it that a woman can multitask, a woman can do things, but practically, do you think we are ready to actually carry this out?
Of course, women are born ready, but I think over time we just got discouraged by the situation of things, and women are born ready. I believe that when we'll be given the platform, we'll deliver. Because for instance, now for most of the women, the younger generation of women, having them to participate in politics is a bit challenging. because more times they will just tell you politics is dirty, they are being sexualized, and so many other reasons. And they believe there's no headway, no matter how you try. There's always a limit you can get to as a woman. So I believe if we're being given the support and the platform, women are born ready. There are so many people out there. There are so many people talking. There are so many people advocating. So all we just need is a platform for us to carry out most of these things.
What are your thoughts on the cost of governance? Do you think, like you mentioned earlier, that in Africa here, for you to even participate in politics, you need money and stuff like that? Do you think it is valid? It's a valid criteria for you to be in position?
It's not supposed to be valid, but with what is happening right now, we know when it comes to politics, money speaking very loud voice. So it's in this part of the world, in Africa, politics is monetized. There's so many people who even withdraw in some certain political aspiration and all that because they don't have the finance to actually lobby or carry out so many things. So right now, mentally, we are being made to believe that you need money in order for you to carry out or in order for you to even aspire for political position. Because sometimes when you even tell somebody, I want to run for this or I'm aspiring for this, they will ask you, do you have the money? Some people even lure people to even come and participate in or run for a political position because they know they have the money and they might just be interested in extracting the money from them. So politics in Africa, in Nigeria, has been monetized, and I believe with time that should change because it doesn't give us the best. It doesn't give us. There are so many people who have what to do, or they have what it takes to deliver, but they don't have the finance. So because of that, they tend to withdraw from it. And at the end of the day, we are being trapped in some set of greedy people who are just considering their personal benefits. Some people might even go out of their way to even get fund to run a political position, believing. So it's like a sort of investment now.
Yes.
So when they believe, okay, if I spend this particular amount and I get there, I have to return. Yes, yeah. It's sort of investment, which is very bad. And with that, I doubt if corruption will ever go away. But let's pray things change.
Well, is there a way these party members, or party rather, can be in charge of the funding? I can remember vividly, was it ADC or so, that gave out free form for their people who wanted to contest under their party. Is there a way something like that can happen?
Party is made of several people, and everybody have their different ideology or mentality. Even if it's a strategy to make it feel, okay, this is what it's about. So most times, most people, even when they're not contesting, they believe, oh, election time, it's time to make money. Some certain people might implement some strategies to make it conducive for everyone, but at the long run, you still get to find out that it's also monetized. So,
yes,
okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time with us. It has been an insightful session with you. Okay, viewers, that's all we can take on today's episode. And for me, I think the highlight of this is that we have to be ready. Our mind, we have to be ready. We should understand that it's a competitive world out there, and the space is not friendly. No man will step down for you because you are a woman. So what do we have to do? We have to develop that thick skin, move up, so that we can be able to face what the face. So it is not said that, oh, we are fidgeting, we're inferior, we have low self-esteem, we feel we are not up to it. You are up to it. You can do whatever you want to do as a woman, and as a woman, you don't have to be subjected to some things, even when you're coming from a background that doesn't support what you want to do. Once you come out and you know that you can achieve this, come out, and when you get into that space, have the right intentions towards it, carry out the right assignments, so that tomorrow, when your fellow female gender wants to come out to join, they can make reference to what you have done. That is a good way of women supporting women. Do well to join us next time on another interesting episode. I remain Chidinma Ufomadu.
I guess said politics is for everyone, so don't stick to that lie. Whether a man, whether a woman, you can stand up for any leadership position you want to, as far as you can do it. I remain Pamela Ajaero. Bye for now.
Bye.